he rode over to the castle. He had received a letter from John Eustace, who had found himself forced to run up to London to meet Mr. Camperdown. The lawyer had thought to postpone further consideration of the whole matter till he and everybody else would be naturally in London, till November that might be, or perhaps even till after Christmas. But his mind was ill at ease, and he knew that so much might be done with the diamonds in 4 months. They might, even now, be in the hands of some Benjamin or of some Harter, and it might soon be beyond the power either of lawyers or of policemen to trace them. He therefore went up from Dawlish and persuaded John Eustace to come from Yorkshire. It was a great nuisance, and Eustace freely anathematized the necklace. "If only some one would steal it, so that we might hear no more of the thing," he said. But, as Mr. Camperdown had frequently remarked, the value was too great for trifling, and Eustace went up to London. Mr. Camperdown put into his hands the Turtle Dove's opinion, explaining that it was by no means expedient that it should be shown to the other party. Eustace thought that the opinion should be common to them all. "We pay for it," said Mr. Camperdown, "and they can get their opinion from any other barrister they please." But what was to be done? Eustace declared that as to the present whereabouts of the necklace, he did not in the least doubt that he could get the truth from Frank Greystock. He therefore wrote to Greystock, and with that letter in his pocket, Frank rode over to the castle for the last time. He, too, was heartily sick of the necklace, but unfortunately he was not equally sick of her who held it in possession. And he was, too, better alive to the importance of the value of the trinket than John Eustace, though not so keenly as was Mr. Camperdown. Lady Eustace was out somewhere among the cliffs, the servant said. He regretted this as he followed her, but he was obliged to follow her. Halfway down to the seashore, much below the knob on which she had attempted to sit with her Shelley, but yet not below the need of assistance, he found her seated in a little ravine. "I knew you would come," she said. Of course she had known he would come. She did not rise or even give him her hand, but there was a spot close beside her on which it was to be presumed that he would seat himself. She had a volume of Byron in her hand, the Corsair, Lara, and the Giaour, a kind of poetry which was in truth more intelligible to her than Queen Mab. "You go to-morrow?" "Yes, I go to-morrow." "And Lubin has gone?" Arthur Herriot was Lubin. "Lubin has gone, though why Lubin I cannot guess. The noble Lubin to me is a stupid fellow, always in love. Herriot is not stupid, and is never in love." "Nevertheless, he is Lubin, if I choose to call him so. Why did he twiddle his thumbs instead of talking? Have you heard anything of Lord Fawn?" "I have had a letter from your brother-in-law." "And what is John the Just pleased to say?" "John the Just, which is a better name for the man than the other, has been called up to London, much against his will, by Mr. Camperdown." "Who is Samuel the Unjust?" Mr. Camperdown's name was Samuel. "And now wants to know where this terrible necklace is at the present moment." He paused a moment, but Lizzie did not answer him. "I suppose you have no objection to telling me where it is?" "None in the least, or to giving it to you to keep for me, only that I would not so far trouble you. But I have an objection to telling them. They are my enemies. Let them find out." "You are wrong, Lizzie. You do not want, or at any rate should not want, to have any secret in the matter." "They are here in the castle, in the very place in which Sir Florian kept them when he gave them to me. Where should my own jewels be but in my own house? What does that Mr. Dove say who was to be asked about them? No doubt they can pay a barrister to say anything." "Lizzie, you think too hardly of people." "And do not people think too hardly of me? Does not all this amount to an accusation against me that I am a thief? Am I not persecuted among them? Did not this impudent attorney stop me in the public street and accuse me of theft before my very servants? Have they not so far succeeded in misrepresenting me that the very man who is engaged to be my husband betrays me? And now you are turning against me. Can you wonder that I am hard? I'm not turning against you. Yes, you are. You take their part and not mine in everything. I tell you what, Frank, I would go out in that boat that you see yonder and drop the bauble into the sea, did I not know that they'd drag it up again with their devilish ingenuity. If the stones would burn, I would burn them. But the worst of it all is that you are becoming my enemy. Then she burst into violent and almost hysterical tears. It would be better that you should give them into the keeping of some one whom you can both trust till the law has decided to whom they belong. I will never give them up. What does Mr. Dove say? I have not seen what Mr. Dove says. It is clear that the necklace is not an heirloom. Then how dared Mr. Camperdown say so often that it was? He said what he thought, pleaded Frank. And he is a lawyer. I am a lawyer, and I did not know what is or what is not an heirloom. But Mr. Dove is clearly of opinion that such a property could not have been given away simply by a word of mouth. John Eustace in his letter had made no allusion to that complicated question of paraphernalia. But it was, said Lizzie. Who can know but myself when no one else was present? The jewels are here now? Not in my pocket. I do not carry them around with me. They are in the castle. And will they go back with you to London? Was a lady ever so interrogated? I do not know yet that I shall go back to London. Why am I asked such questions? As to you, Frank, I would tell you everything, my whole heart, if you only cared to know it. But why is John Eustace to make inquiry as to personal ornaments which are my own property? If I go to London, I will take them there and wear them at every house I enter. I will do so in defiance of Mr. Camperdown and Lord Fawn. I think, Frank, that no woman was ever so ill-treated as I am. He himself thought that she was ill-treated. She had so pleaded her case, and had been so lovely in her tears and her indignation, that he began to feel something like true sympathy for her cause. What right had he, or had Mr. Camperdown, or any one, to say that the jewels did not belong to her? And if her claim to them was just, why should she be persuaded to give up the possession of them? He knew well that were she to surrender them with the idea that they should be restored to her if her claim were found to be just, she would not get them back very soon. If once the jewels were safe, locked up in Mr. Garnet's strong-box, Mr. Camperdown would not care how long it might be before a jury or judge should have decided on the case. The burden of proof would then be thrown upon Lady Eustace. In order that she might recover her own property, she would have to thrust herself forward as a witness, and appear before a world a claimant, greedy for rich ornaments. Why should he advise her to give them up? I am only thinking, said he, what may be best for your own peace. Peace! She exclaimed. How am I to have peace? Remember the condition in which I find myself. Remember the manner in which that man is treating me, when all the world has been told of my engagement to him. When I think of it, my heart is so bitter that I am inclined to throw, not the diamonds, but myself from off these rocks. All that remains to me is the triumph of getting the better of my enemies. Mr. Camperdown shall never have the diamonds. Even if they could prove that they did not belong to me, they should find them gone. I don't think they can prove it. I'll flaunt them in the eyes of all of them till they do, and then they shall be gone. And I'll have such revenge on Lord Fawn before I have done with him that he shall know that it may be worse to have to fight a woman than a man. Oh, Frank, I do not think that I am hard by nature, but these things make a woman hard. As she spoke, she took his hand in hers, and looked up into his eyes